Introduction: The Midwife of the Soul. Welcome once more, traveler of the silent spaces. Step away from the blinding light of public opinions and sit with me in the quiet shelter of reflection. You live in a world that treats love as a personal possession or a visual transaction. You are told that love is a trophy to be won, a comfort to be consumed, or a temporary feeling that satisfies your biological instincts. Yet, despite all the romances you chase and the connections you collect, you find yourself facing a deep inner winter. You look into the mirror and you see that your mind is still full of confusion and your spirit is still deeply isolated. You have begun to suspect that true human love must be something much more active, much more vertical, and much more profound. Let us walk together through the stone streets of ancient Athens. Let us sit on a simple bench in the busy marketplace with Socrates, the philosopher who brought wisdom down from the stars and placed it directly into the human heart. He did not look like a beautiful marble statue. He was an ordinary man with rough features and simple clothes. Yet, when he spoke, the finest minds of Greece felt their souls turn upside down. He did not view love as a passive emotion that happens to you by accident. He famously claimed that he knew absolutely nothing in this world, except for one single science, the science of love. In this mini audiobook, we will discover the radical anatomy of Socratic love. We will dissolve the superficial definitions of affection and uncover the true power of philosophical intimacy. We will examine why your relationships feel like empty arguments, how deep conversation can become a holy act of creation, and how loving another person correctly can help you give birth to your own divine potential. Open the doors of your reason. Let us begin the sacred dialogue that transforms love from a temporary passion into an eternal pursuit of truth. Chapter 1: The Science of What is Missing. To begin our journey into the mind of Socrates, we must first look at his extraordinary declaration. In a city filled with brilliant politicians, wealthy merchants, and prideful teachers who claimed to know everything, Socrates walked around declaring his own absolute ignorance. He said, "I know nothing except the fact of my own ignorance." But when it came to love, his voice changed. He stated with complete certainty that love was the only subject he truly understood. Why would the wisest man in Greece make love his only field of expertise? It is because Socrates understood that love is fundamentally the recognition of what is missing within yourself. Love is not the behavior of a person who is already full, wealthy, and satisfied. Love is the great hunt of the soul that realizes its own poverty. It is the deep ache of an incomplete being that has caught a glimpse of a perfection it does not yet possess. To understand love, you must first have the immense courage to look into your own life and say, "I am missing wisdom. I am missing goodness. I am missing justice." When you enter a relationship from this Socratic perspective, you stop pretending to be a perfect hero who has everything to give. You drop the heavy mask of your pride. You approach the beloved not as a consumer looking for a commercial exchange, but as a fellow pilgrim. You realize that your mutual affection is born from a shared lack. You do not come together to show off your glitters. You come together because you both see the darkness in your own minds, and you want to search for the light together. Chapter 2: The Mystery of Diotima. Socrates did not discover the deepest secrets of love through his own logic. He confessed that he was initiated into the mysteries of love by a wise woman named Diotima, a prophetess from the city of Mantinea. This is a profound detail in the history of thought. The father of philosophy had to become a student, and his teacher was a woman who spoke of spiritual realities. Diotima showed him that love is not a god who lives in comfort, but a powerful spirit that walks in the space between heaven and earth. She explained to Socrates that love is the child of two opposing forces, resourcefulness and poverty. Because of its mother, poverty, love is always rough, homeless, and barefoot, sleeping on the bare ground outside the doors of the wealthy. It is the experience of hunger and separation. But because of its father, resourcefulness, love is always scheming, brave, and full of intense energy, designing beautiful strategies to capture what is good and wise. Love is a philosopher, always moving between ignorance and absolute knowledge. This is the true psychological landscape of your heart. When you feel the weight of love, you are experiencing the inheritance of poverty. You feel the painful gap between yourself and the beloved. But when you feel the surge of creative inspiration, the desire to write, to speak, and to build, you are experiencing the power of resourcefulness. Socrates teaches you to honor this inner tension. Love is not meant to be a comfortable resting place. It is an active, restless engine designed to drive your soul forward on the great hunt for truth. Chapter 3. The Art of the Spiritual Midwife. Socrates belonged to a family of craftsmen. His father was a sculptor who shaped cold stone, and his mother, Phaenarete, was a midwife who helped women give birth to new life. Socrates looked at his mother's profession and realized that he had been called to do the exact same work, but in the realm of the spirit. He called his philosophical method meutics, the art of the spiritual midwife, that he observed that true love between two human beings operates exactly like a midwife. When you love someone in a Socratic way, you do not look at them as an empty vessel into which you must pour your own opinions, your own rules, or your own ego. You realize that their soul is already pregnant with hidden truths, sleeping virtues, and divine potential that they do not yet know how to bring into the light. Your love is the patience, the warmth, and the safety that allows that inner child to be born. This shifts the entire purpose of intimacy. A modern relationship is frequently a battle of control, where one person tries to sculpt the other into a convenient shape. But Socratic love is an act of deep reverence. You sit with the beloved, you listen to their confusion, and through gentle, persistent questioning, you help them labor through their own thoughts. You do not give them the answers. You help them discover the truth that was already living inside their own deep waters. You are the helper of their spiritual birth. Chapter 4. The Illusion of the Flattering Mask. To be a true friend and lover in the Socratic sense, you must learn to hate the illusion of the flattering mask. In the ancient world, there were teachers called sophists who were paid large amounts of money to teach people how to speak beautifully without caring about the truth. They were masters of flattery. They told their students and their lovers exactly what their egos wanted to hear, ensuring that everyone remained comfortable in their illusions. Socrates warned that flattery is the ultimate poison of human connection. When you love someone only by praising their faults, confirming their prejudices, and protecting their pride, you are not loving them. You are keeping them in a spiritual sleep. You are acting like a corrupt doctor who gives sweet poison to a sick patient just to keep them smiling. True love must be willing to hold up the mirror of absolute honesty, even when it causes temporary discomfort. This does not mean you approach the beloved with cruelty or judgment. Socratic honesty is a surgical instrument guided by infinite care. You challenge their contradictions because you value their soul too much to let them remain trapped in ignorance. If you see your friend behaving with injustice or ruining their life through greed, you do not remain silent for the sake of a false politeness. You speak up. You question them. You invite them into the light of accountability, because true love prefers a painful truth over a beautiful lie. Chapter 5. The Sacred Dialogue of Intimacy. How do two souls practice this Socratic love in their daily lives? The primary instrument of this connection is the dialogue. To Socrates, a conversation is not a competition where one person wins and the other loses. It is not an exchange of digital messages or superficial updates about your day. A true dialogue is a holy laboratory where two minds fuse together to search for a reality that is greater than both of them. When you enter into a sacred dialogue with a loved one, you both agree to a beautiful rule. We are not fighting each other. We are fighting the darkness together. You drop your defensiveness. When your partner points out a flaw in your argument or a contradiction in your behavior, you do not become angry or strike back with insults. You thank them. Socrates famously said that the person who is refuted in a philosophical dialogue is the true winner, because they are liberated from an error, while the person who won the argument remains exactly where they were. Think of the beauty of a relationship where you can speak with absolute vulnerability. You sit across from each other, and you examine your fears, your beliefs, your values, and your definitions of what a good life means. Through this shared examination, the superficial layers of your personality dissolve. You penetrate beneath the surface of things. Your intimacy ceases to be an emotional transaction and becomes a philosophical adventure, a continuous journey into the deep architecture of truth. Chapter 6. The Unexamined Life in Romance. Socrates stood before the court of Athens, facing the sentence of death, and uttered the timeless words that should be written across every human heart. The unexamined life is not worth living for a human being. If this is true for an individual life, it is doubly true for a relationship. An unexamined love is an explosive device waiting to detonate in the dark. Most romantic tragedies happen because people enter into partnerships without ever examining their own inner houses. They carry the unhealed wounds of their childhood, the hidden fears of scarcity, and the toxic expectations of their culture into their homes. They expect their partner to fix a loneliness that they have never investigated. They treat love as a passive medicine to numb their internal conflict, and when the medicine fails, they blame the container. Socratic love demands that you pause the frantic rushing of your life and examine the structure of your connection. You must have the courage to ask the difficult questions. Why are we together? Are we connecting out of a true appreciation for virtue, or are we just hiding from our own shadows? What are we building with our shared days? When you bring your relationship into the examination room of absolute honesty, you strip away the illusions before they can turn into bitterness. You ensure that your love is built on a rock of conscious awareness. Chapter 7. The True Definition of Soulmates. The modern world has created a highly romanticized, fragile myth of the soulmate. You are told that somewhere out there, the universe has hidden a perfect person who is custom-made for you. This person will automatically understand your every thought, validate your every emotion, and make your life effortless and happy without you ever having to change or grow. Socrates completely dismantles this lazy illusion that a Socratic soulmate is not a person who makes your life easy. It is a person who makes your life excellent. It is a partner who enters your world like a divine storm, disrupting your bad habits, challenging your intellectual laziness, and forcing you to look at your own soul. They are your soulmate because they are the only person who care enough about your eternal nature to help you fight your lowest impulses. They are the co-worker in your moral development. This type of connection is not based on an accidental alignment of stars or a chemical rush of attraction. It is a handmade achievement. Two people become soulmates over years of shared dialogue, mutual correction, and collaborative virtue. They do not start as a perfect fit. They become a perfect fit through the patient, intentional smoothing of their rough edges against each other. It is a sacred alchemy where two separate pieces of clay are baked in the fire of shared examination until they become an unbreakable whole. Chapter 8. The Freedom of Intellect over Flesh. Socrates lived in a culture that highly celebrated physical beauty and bodily pleasures. Yet, he was famous for his absolute mastery over his physical desires. In the dialogue of the symposium, the young and brilliantly beautiful General Alcibiades confesses that he tried to seduce Socrates using all his physical charms. He expected the philosopher to become a slave to his beauty, like every other man in Athens. But Socrates stayed completely unmoved. He looked at Alcibiades with deep affection, but refused to enter into a superficial physical transaction. Why did Socrates display this supernatural restraint? It wasn't because he was cold or because he hated pleasure. It was because he saw a much higher form of beauty inside the young man. He told Alcibiades, "You are trying to trade brass for gold. You want to give me the fleeting beauty of your physical skin in exchange for the eternal beauty of true wisdom. That is a terrible trade. This is the core of Socratic freedom. The intellect must rule the flesh. When your love is directed entirely by physical desires, you are never truly free. You are a puppet pulled by the strings of your lower instincts, constantly anxious about losing the physical object of your pleasure. But when your love is anchored in the intellect, you enter the realm of security. You appreciate the physical form as a beautiful signpost, but your true devotion belongs to the invisible, unchanging goodness of the Spirit. You love with an open hand, completely free from the sickness of ownership. Chapter 9. The True Meaning of Platonic Companionship. Because Socrates was the teacher of Plato, his life is the ultimate definition of what we call true companionship of the mind. This connection does not run away from human emotion, nor does it hide behind a cold wall of intellectual isolation. It is an intense, passionate bond that uses the energy of attraction to fuel the search for wisdom. It is a relationship where the highest intimacy happens not when two bodies touch, but when two minds achieve total transparency. Think of the relationships in your life. How many people truly know the questions that keep you awake at night? How many people know the fears you hide behind your social success? How many people are invested in your wisdom rather than your convenience? Most human interactions remain stuck in the shallow waters of utility and small talk because people are terrified of the depth. Socrates calls you to step into the deep ocean. He invites you to look for companions who are not afraid of serious questions. A true Socratic companion is someone with whom you can sit in total silence, or with whom you can argue for hours about the definition of justice, and feel a deep sense of divine peace through it all. It is a connection that does not drain your nervous system, but instead organizes your thoughts, clarifies your purpose, and cleanses your spirit from the pollution of the marketplace. Chapter 10. The Sacred Discipline of Irony. One of the most famous tools Socrates used in his dialogues was irony. Socratic irony is not the cynical, bitter sarcasm of your modern digital world, which is designed to mock people and tear down their dignity. Socratic irony was a playful, humble method used to clear away the false knowledge of the ego so that true learning could begin. He would approach someone with total humility, pretend to know nothing, and ask simple questions until the other person realized that their beliefs were full of holes. In a healthy love relationship, you must learn to practice this sacred discipline of irony within your own mind. The greatest enemy of intimacy is the certainty of your own righteousness. When an argument happens, your ego immediately declares, "I am 100% correct, and my partner is 100% wrong." You turn your relationship into a courtroom where you must win the case at all costs. Socratic irony allows you to step out of this destructive courtroom. It gives you the humility to look at your own anger and ask, what if I am mistaken? What if my partner sees a piece of the truth that my pride is hiding from me? By approaching a conflict with an open, questioning mind instead of a defensive shield, you disarm the anger instantly. You replace the violence of a confrontation with the cooperation of a dialogue. You realize that protecting your relationship is infinitely more valuable than protecting your pride. Chapter 11. The Care of the Soul Above All Things. When Socrates stood before the citizens of Athens who were about to sentence him to die, he gave them one final, monumental warning. He said, "I spend all my time walking through your streets, persuading both young and old among you not to care for your bodies or your money above all things, but to care for the perfection of your souls." This is the ultimate baseline of his philosophy, and it is the absolute heart of Socratic love. If you love someone in a scriptural or philosophical way, your primary concern must be the care of their soul. You cannot look at your partner or your child and measure their success only by how much money they make, what car they drive, or what social honors they achieve. These are temporary things that will be stripped away by time. You must care about the condition of their inner being. You must ask yourself, is the person I love becoming more patient, more just, more wise, and more peaceful through their connection with me? Or am I helping them feed their vanities, their anxieties, and their greeds? When your love is focused on the care of the soul, your daily life becomes simplified. You stop fighting over small material trifles. You focus your energy on what is eternal, ensuring that your home becomes a sanctuary where both spirits can grow whole and clean before the face of the universe. Chapter 12. The Immortality of True Connection. Let us close our deep examination by looking at the final hours of Socrates' life. He sat in his dark prison cell, surrounded by his weeping disciples. waiting for the executioner to bring the hemlock poison. His friends were filled with absolute panic and despair, believing that the death of his physical body would mean the total destruction of their connection and the end of their world. But Socrates stayed completely calm, smiling at their tears that he asked them, "Why are you crying? You are behaving as if you can bury Socrates in a grave. You can only bury my physical container." The true Socrates, the mind that loved wisdom, the spirit that searched for justice, the soul that connected with your souls, cannot be captured by a shovel or destroyed by a poison. Our connection is not made of flesh. It is made of truth, and truth can never die. This is the ultimate victory of Socratic love. It is completely immortal. When you build a relationship out of the things of the spirit, out of shared wisdom, mutual virtue, and honest dialogues, you are building something that transcends the physical realm. The passage of time cannot wither it, the loss of wealth cannot diminish it, and even the shadow of death cannot destroy it. You enter into a timeless fellowship. Walk in this deep, unshakable awareness. Know that you are capable of a love that survives the world, and let your life be a beautiful song of wisdom. Conclusion: walk in the light of dialogue. My beloved traveler of the spirit, look up from the gray pavement of the material marketplace. Do not allow your mind to be suffocated by the cheap, transactional definitions of love that your commercial society tries to sell you. You are not a machine designed to trade biological pleasures or collect validation for your ego. You are a pregnant soul, full of sleeping truths and destined for absolute excellence. As you step back into the routine of your daily life, carry the Socratic map within your heart. Do not run away from the confusion or the poverty you feel within your own mind. Use it as the fuel to search for wisdom. Look for companions who are brave enough to enter into a true dialogue. Help the people you love give birth to their own hidden virtues, and care for the perfection of the soul above all physical things. You are not an isolated accident in a cold world. You are an active philosopher, capable of transforming any human relationship into a holy sanctuary of truth. Walk boldly into that brilliant light. Be humble enough to question your pride, honest enough to speak the truth with care, and radiant enough to chase away the darkness of ignorance wherever your feet may tread. May wisdom guide your inquiries, and may true Socratic love illuminate your soul forever. Peace be with you on the grand journey.